The second question today is, how can we receive the gifts of the Spirit? Great question. Let me give you a few quick answers. Primarily, I would say this: we receive the gifts of the Spirit by faith. And that simply means, without trying to be comedic about that, it's like faith reaches out and receives. It's like I would put my hand out and say, Lord, I receive what you have given, and I believe I've got it right now. Yeah, no, I can't get my faith to receive something that God's grace isn't giving. It's really important we learn that faith and grace always have to flow together. But when we talk about the gifts of the Spirit, they're actually gifts of grace. They're charisms, charismatic. Charism literally means a grace gift. John Wimber used to call them not bracelets, but gracelets, the gifts of God's grace. But what we actually, at times, God will give us a gift and it will like drop on us and we'll feel it. That's wonderful. But at times you've got to literally, most of the time, you've got to reach out in faith and believe by faith that you've received those gifts. How can we get more of them? So I would say, number one, faith. Number two, we can receive the gifts of the Spirit by the laying on of hands. Paul spoke about that in Romans 1, where he said, I long to come and visit you, Romans, and pray for you and impart to you some spiritual gift. So when somebody else is moving in a spiritual gift, they can pray and lay hands, and you can receive impartation and catch those gifts that way. I think thirdly, we receive the gifts and we increase our faith in the gifts when we hear teaching about the gifts. Faith comes by hearing, and hearing by the word of God. Paul said in Galatians 3:3 and 3:5, he who ministers the Spirit and works miracles amongst you, does he do it because you keep the law or by the hearing of faith? In effect, what Paul is saying is when you preach on these things, faith comes for them and the Spirit manifests them. So a church that, I've been in churches where they sort of theologically agree with the gifts of the Spirit in theory, but they never actually practice them. And so people don't have faith for them, even if they think they believe in them. I have people, no friends in ministry, excuse me, who it's like they'll believe in them as a doctrinal position, but not as a practical thing. If I said to you, I believe in the gym, I believe in gyms. Well, it's one thing to say, I believe there are gyms, gymnasiums, and they exist. It's another to say, I believe in going to the gym, and I go to the gym every day, and I practice going to the gym, and we should practice the things of the Spirit. And that would be my last encouragement to you, my last answer in a way. We grow in these gifts, we receive them by practicing them. We have a go, and we're okay if we make mistakes, and we do it in a safe context, which really relates to my next question here. We learn, we grow in these things by practicing. The way you become fluent in the prophetic is by prophesying, by reaching out and saying, Lord, give me a word for somebody here. I'll add one more quick answer to that, and how can we grow in these things? And that's by getting yourself around people who are in need. You know, the gifts of the Spirit aren't actually about you. They're about God flowing through you to help others. So if I am praying, God, give me a gift of healing. God, I want gifts of healing. God, I want gifts of healing. Well, great. God's not going to give me a gift of healing as I'm sitting in my lounge reading a book. But if I go out and visit sick people and it's like I'm putting a demand on the Spirit of the Lord within me. Lord, flow your healing gifts through me. It will begin to happen. Selah. Boom.